For the past few weeks, we've been speaking about this concept of holiness, of kadosh, of something that is more intimately connected to God than other things. So we have, in the beginning of creation, when God created the world, God created the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day, God rested. That was the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day was imbued with extra holiness, with extra connection to God. And we are enjoined to guard the Shabbat, to observe the Shabbat, to enter into that time of closeness to God after our 6 days of work. So we work and we go about our business and we interact with each other and we make our livelihood and we do all those things for the 6 days. And then on the seventh day, we enter into a time where we have a greater capacity to connect to God because it's a holy day. It's a more connected to God day. So we understand there are times that time can be imbued with extra divine energy, and we term that kadosh, as something that's holy. In this week's Torah portion, Behar, on Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the law of working the land of Israel, to plow, to reap, to sow, to do whatever farmers do, to thresh, whatever farmers do, to do that for 6 years. And then the seventh year is a Shabbat for the land. It's a Sabbath of the land. The land doesn't get plowed. The land doesn't get harvested. The land doesn't get planted. It is a rest year, a whole year, not a day, a whole year where farmers don't work the land. And that's the Shabbat of the land. It's a recognition that the land of Israel belongs to God, that God is infusing the land of Israel with a special holiness, with a special connection that isn't experienced and isn't put into the other lands outside of the land of Israel. There's something special about the land of Israel. And thirdly, there's something special about the Jewish people. The Jewish people are an Am Kadosh, a holy people, by our firstborn nature, by our connection to God. And so if you put the three together and you have the Shabbos with the holy people in the holy land, so you've got this extra infusion of holiness. So as we go through the 6 years of working and as we plow and as we farm, and I spoke to a farmer who was saying, when you work the land, you become very connected to the land. The land becomes a part of you. You become a part of the land. And it's interesting, there's a story given, I don't know the source of it, where two people are arguing about who owns a particular piece of land in Israel. And one saying it's mine and the other one saying it's mine. And the land says, you know what, you can argue all you want, but at the end of the day, you all belong to me. You're all going to end up in the ground. So Jewish kosher burial is to be buried in the land, and ideally, meaning that the land of Israel itself has a special holiness and a special capacity to bring about a purification and a rectification and a healing and a something that only the land of Israel can do. So if you're buried in the land of Israel, it's like, say the mystics, like being buried in your mother's arms, like you're coming home. If you're buried outside of Israel, interestingly, we have little packets of sand that comes from Israel, and we sprinkle that in different places onto the dead body of somebody who's being buried outside of Israel. So if you can't be buried in Israel for whatever reason, we bring Israel to you, and we put the sand, the purifying, the rejuvenating, the cleansing land of Israel, we bring it to you and we put it on different parts of your body to help you in your process as you have to go through. I thought that was really interesting, that the land itself has a special holiness and a special capacity to purify and to help you in your journey post-mortem. So, and in fact, that one of the reasons given why it's okay to dig up somebody who's buried outside of Israel is to bury them in the land of Israel. That's ideally the place to be buried, for this capacity to be buried in your mother's arms, to be buried in the homeland. And how many of us have seen the pictures of people coming over the centuries, over the years, even recently, coming from Ethiopia, coming from Ukraine, coming out of the Holocaust, coming to Israel, coming to the homeland. And when they land and when they come off the boats, they kiss the land. They connect with the mouth. The mouth is an organ of connection. They kiss the land. We kiss the mezuzah. It's a holy object. We kiss a Sefer Torah. When the Torah comes out of the holy ark and it's walked around the synagogue, we kiss it. If we drop a siddur, we kiss it. When we close a prayer book, we kiss it. The kissing is something that acknowledges that there's something holy about this object. There's something holy about this. We kiss it. And when people come from all parts of the world and they get to Israel, they kiss the land, because the land is Israel has a holiness, a specialness, a connection to God that other lands don't have. And maybe you feel it when you come here, and maybe you don't. But this is what we're learning, and that's what we're learning in this week's Torah portion in Behar, that God gave to Moses the laws of saying, the land does not belong to you. You can work the land for 6 years, but in the 7th year, you have to leave it fallow. And that is a whole year of recognizing that you don't own the land. God owns the land. And perhaps we can take that another step and say, we don't even own time. Like, time is happening and we can hold on to it and we can grab it and we can try to use it for the best of our abilities, but we can't stop time. Time keeps going. Time is a creation of God. And similarly, also ourselves, our body and a soul mix is not ours. We can't do with it whatever we want. We can't kill ourselves. And we're supposed to not put tattoos on our body, because it says in the Torah, it's not, your body is given to you. Your body and soul is given to each one of us as a gift to use for as long as we get the gift of body and soul being tethered together in this world. That's a gift. Our lives are a gift. And our holy soul is a breath of God that is being blown into us all the time. And so if we bring all this together and we talk about the Shemitah year, which we learn about in this week's Torah portion, I think one of the main messages that I want to bring out is that we don't own anything. We don't own the land of Israel. We don't own any land. It's not ours. We don't own time, and we don't own even our own lives and our own bodies. They're all gifts for us to use to the best of our capacities, to be the best people we can be, and to bring as much holiness into the world by how we act and how we connect to those aspects of our lives that are holy place, holy time, and holy people. And I bless us that we should be aware of that on a regular basis and understand that our lives are a gift and we have a mission, and that the land of Israel is one peg of the holiness that exists in this world, and time is holy and people are holy, and God, and all of this is connecting us to the source of all holiness, which is divine God energy.